Hi, guys. Have you ever heard the adage, it takes more muscles to smile than to frown? Would it actually surprise you to discover that, well, this is not actually true? I've learned from a thorough study on the subject that it is actually the other way around. Scientists who studied the muscles required to produce these facial expressions agree on a couple of things. They agree first that it actually takes a full 10 muscles to produce a small smile, and only 6 to produce a small frown. And to produce an average one, well, the numbers are respectively 12 and 11. However, they also agree that because we do it more, it's easier to smile. And that smiling, whether we do it unconsciously or by choice, influences other people to smile. Smiling really is contagious. While it is what some might call the universal sign of happiness, you may wonder how or why this can actually be the case. How a simple smile can be contagious. Well, I'm here to share with you some amazing facts about smiling and why we are more closely linked as a species than you might actually think. As I mentioned before, smiling is contagious. It's part of what helps us understand the people that we interact with on a daily basis. Think about it. As you're walking around every day, it's not uncommon to see someone in a shirt or a pair of jeans or a jacket or a pair of shoes and think, gosh, those look really cool. What would I feel like wearing those? They look comfortable. What would it feel like to try those on? We can kind of all relate to that, right? Well, let's walk away from that more personal experience, if you will, and go a little bit differently. Let's just imagine we're walking through a department store. At some point, you'll find yourself thinking how something would feel on you. Again, might be a pair of shoes or a pair of pants, how something would feel, what you'd feel like wearing it. Well, science is slowly building evidence that in an even more pronounced way, we do this with facial expressions all the time. Think about the last time you were out for a walk on a bad day. You were at work, or at the church, or a grocery store, maybe even a park. Wherever it might have been, you stop for a moment, and you close your eyes. Actually, how about we do that now? Close your eyes for a minute. Slowly open them. And when you open them, imagine you notice another person walking past you with a smile on their face, waving, saying hi. Don't second guess it, because for a moment, you'll feel like smiling. You might not. It might be a really bad day, but for a moment, you want to try. That's you trying to comprehend what they're feeling, trying to comprehend that expression and internalize it. There's mounting evidence pointing to the idea that generally, without meaning to, our human instinct for facial mimicry helps us relate to the people around us. It's almost as though we're trying on other people's faces to feel how they feel. This emotional fitting allows us to empathize with the person our attention is fixated on by letting us remember what it's like to wear that expression. In a paper published in 2016, several psychologists and scientists, namely Adrienne Woods and Paula Niedenthal, made the suggestion that this process is quite normal. Niedenthal actually said, your own emotional reaction to the face changes your perception of how you see the face in such a way that provides you more information about what it means. You reflect on the emotional feelings, and then you generate some sort of reaction judgment. And the most important thing that results is that you take the appropriate action. You approach the person or you avoid the person. In other words, we remember by mimicking someone's expression how it felt the last time we made that expression. We remember the emotions associated with a smile or a frown or a grimace. We remember how we felt the last time someone shared that expression with us. And that tells us how to act. In social situations, we do this all the time. It's how we insulate ourselves from rejection and look for acceptance. An important part of who we are, many people would say, is often determined either consciously or subconsciously by the groups we're associated with and the groups that we're around all the time. Marilyn Brewer and Wendy Gardner of Northwestern University actually suggest that people in the in group, the people that you hang out with all the time and socialize a lot with, tend to practice a greater amount of facial mimicry than those in the out group. The people that you don't hang out with, that you kind of shy away from. They understand each other more, those in the in group, and have become more familiar with their facial patterns, even the subtle ones. Naturally, they do a better job of instinctually gauging what people in their group are feeling. We see these people more often. Our face mimics theirs more often. We remember them better. Our ability to recognize the emotions other people are experiencing can be inhibited, though, if we can't see their face. You might wonder how that can happen, how not seeing someone's face can change how you recognize emotions, how you feel about them. Well, think about it this way. Have you ever gotten off the phone stunned that someone took offense to a casual comment that you made? Almost like they didn't understand the real feeling behind what you were saying? Well, truthfully, they may not have. Remember, much of what we understand about a person's feelings comes from something you don't experience over a phone call. We have a more difficult time reading people's expressions through a phone because we can't see their face. We have this same difficulty when we're talking to someone through a closed door or when our eyes are closed or over the phone. Yes, even if we're video chatting, because really, guys, we can't see people as clearly. And sometimes, depending on how good your connection is to the internet, we can't really see them at all. To you and me, that's kind of a small thing. We can open a door. We can go to where another person is and be with them. We can find a way to see them and experience things with them. But, imagine for a moment that you can't do that. People who've experienced central or peripheral motor disease, things like Bell's palsy, or have some kind of a social disorder like autism that may make it difficult to mimic someone's face, someone's expressions, or even make it difficult to make direct facial contacts, experience this in a different way. They lose some ability to comprehend the emotions of other people because they can't mimic them or won't look at them closely enough to try, and thus the ability to react appropriately is diminished. Truly, we're made to be a social people, a family people. We were made to be around each other, linked physically and emotionally. Facial mimicry is the initial tool we use to accomplish this. It reminds us of the emotions linked to an expression and is the first primary tool we have for understanding each other. When we can't do that, some of that connection's lost. Smiles, like all other facial expressions to some extent, are contagious. In the unconscious mimicry of another person's facial expressions, we come to understand more of what they're feeling because we feel it too. Think back one more time about the last time someone smiled at you, the last time someone cried in front of you. Unconsciously, you felt for a moment like joining them. This gift that allows us to react appropriately to the emotional needs of other people, at some level empathizing, even experiencing their feelings, is truly amazing. Don't go another day without giving people the opportunity to remember what it's like to smile. So smile. You're giving us the opportunity to have a true human experience. if for only a moment, will experience a piece of your joy.